What reselling platform is the best place to resell fashion? I'm a full-time fashion reseller and I specialize in selling bags. And today I sold this Coach Soho suede bust tote and this beautiful brown suede that's been getting a ton of attention on Depop. And I love selling fashion on Depop because they have no seller fees, only a very small payment transaction fee. I sold this bag for $54, and using the new Vendu marketplace calculator, it tells me that I get to take home $51.77 of earnings after the payment fee. In second place would have been Etsy. If this were a vintage Coach bag, I could have sold it there and I would have taken home $50.29. In third place, we have Mercari, which would have allowed me to take home $48.60 of earnings. In fourth place, we have Grailed, which would have allowed me to take home $46.77. And in last place is Poshmark, which would have allowed me to take home $43.20. And by now you're probably wondering, but what about the OG eBay? Where does it rank? To figure that out, we need to consider a lot of different data points. So to do that, I'm going to switch over to a different calculator that allows you to take into account promotion ad rate, eBay store, and even your seller rating. Because I don't have a store and I don't pay ad promotion fees and I'm a regular rated seller. This would have actually ranked eBay as the first marketplace, giving me a profit of $53.15, which ranks higher than Depop at $51.77. But I know that most sellers on eBay have some kind of a starter store and are definitely using promoted listings. So how does that change the equation? If we go back to our calculator and we update the eBay store status to starter, and let's give ourselves a very reasonable low 3% promoted ad rate, it changes our fees to $11.74 from the original $9.85 that I would have gotten not having a store and not doing any kind of ad promotion. And that brings our total profit to $51.26, dropping eBay's ranking to number 2. If we go back to our calculator and change the promoted ad rate to 10%, which again, I feel is an amount that a lot of people might actually use, it brings our fees back up to $16.15 and our total profit down to $46.85, dropping eBay's ranking to 4th place on our ranking scale. What about if you are not an above standard seller, something happens, you fall below standard? eBay actually penalizes you for that, raising your fees, and your total profit is now $43.07 from $46.85 and ranking eBay below Poshmark's profit at $43.20. Now, if you change to top rated seller, that actually lowers your fee and raises your profit. You're back up to $47.80, which would put eBay back in 4th place on our profitable rankings. Now, this was interesting. If you go back to the calculator and you give yourself a basic store, which requires you to pay a monthly fee, your total profit actually goes up about $1 to $48.93. If you go to a premium store, we see no change. If you go to an anchor store, we see no change. And if you have the crazy enterprise, there is no change either. You'll see me click on it in a second here. So basically, if you pay something in store fees, your profit margin improves slightly, but after premium, there's no advantage whatsoever. So here's our final rankings. Even though eBay potentially could bring in a tiny bit more profit under certain circumstances, for me, Depop is the clear winner. Number 1, they don't have any seller fees, just a small payment processing fees, which all platforms have. Depop has really good return protection for sellers. In fact, I've only ever had one person try to return something the entire time that I've been selling there, and I won the case. In fact, if you look at their return policy, they very explicitly say you can't return things because they smell, because you don't like the way it looks, because you change your mind, and most importantly, because it didn't fit you the way you liked. This is so critical if fashion is the main category that you sell in and you are a small seller. Keeping your sales is going to keep you profitable, and a good seller protections in the return department is what you want to see in a platform. That being said, Depop does not have binding offers, and I keep hoping that they'll add that in, but I am willing to deal with the headache of chasing down buyers whose offers I accept to check out if it means I'll get these great seller protections and I won't have to pay a platform fee. I'd also like to add that even though eBay technically could be slightly more profitable, it's only slightly, and you have to sell in very specific conditions, which are really hard to achieve at this point. I know whereof I speak because I do sell a couple of things on there and I get almost no views on anything that I list over there. Not to mention the terrible seller protections that they have and the return fraud that is just rampant on that platform, particularly in the fashion category. It's so important that small sellers are protected against really poor buyer judgment, like buyer's remorse, just didn't like it, found it cheaper somewhere else, or didn't fit me the way I wanted it to. It's 2025, shipping costs a bunch more than it used to. Big stores and platforms are starting to realize that returns are costing more than they're worth. So helping a seller keep a sale is becoming just as important to retailers and platforms that are online just as much as it is to small sellers. There are many other platforms in the game at this point where you could sell fashion and still keep a very good amount of your profit and not do half as much work that it would take to get your item list and sold on eBay, and also then to keep your sale after the fact. eBay is kind of like the local transportation system that keeps raising the price of the ticket, but the service and the ride doesn't actually get any better. Then you have all these other alternative transportation companies springing up with really great features that make it super simple and easy to use their service. Some of the features that I'm talking about are listing video, binding offers, immediate payment, streamlined shipping, where you get a shipping label when you sell something. You don't have to weigh it. You don't have to measure it. What about not having to call customer service every time you run into an issue on a platform? Not having to wait 30 days for a sale to close. I mean, the list goes on and on. So if you are a fashion reseller, all of the platforms in my rankings are good places to list, with the exception of eBay. And even Poshmark, with the highest 20% fee, you're still keeping 80% of your sale. So that's pretty good, and it gets incrementally better as we go up the rankings. I think Depop is offering sellers incredible ease and value to sell on their platform and keep a sizable amount of profit more than Poshmark, but Poshmark is also offering a lot of ease and value on their platform as well. And I don't think either of these can be compared to eBay because they really are going down in their ease and value proposition for sellers, in my opinion. Looking at the chart again, for me, eBay realistically ranks at number 4 on this chart, not number 1. I think a lot of people think back to old times when you could have no subscription and no ad promotion and actually still get exposure and make sales. That hasn't been the reality for quite a while now. I think it's much more realistic that you are paying for a store subscription and that you are promoting around 10%. Let me know what you think about this comparison experiment. Will you be listing more on Depop, on Etsy, on Mercari, or even Grailed? All great choices. Again, all offering over 80% margin for sellers, some with more value proposition in terms of ease and protections on the platform than others. Are you an eBay stan, and will you be sticking with them even though you're working way harder than you need to for just a little bit more profit? I know I have some controversial thoughts in this video. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and as always, happy thrifting.